And then, once that is done and everything is in place, I'm guessing it takes a while for that to cure. But then they will hang the last precast wall where they've been pulling equipment in and out of when they don't need to get big equipment in there anymore. They will hang that last precast wall, hopefully in a couple weeks. And if that stays, we continue to be right on schedule and in good shape with that. But that is, the pool part is the most exciting right now. Classrooms and locker rooms just continues to move along with their finishing drywall, and they're putting backing on walls. And they will get to tile next. And so that is the next thing that will happen after in the classroom, locker room, entryways, but all of that is taking shape in a nice way. The boulevard and parking lot, they finished pouring all of that, and so that is usable. Both entrances and both sides are drivable. On the boulevard, the parking lot is done as well and can be completely used. And they were sealing it as of last week and are done with that now. The next thing that's happening there is an installation of lights, light poles, and all of that. And that is supposed to be completed by the beginning of next week. And then they will move on to finishing sidewalks, which won't take much longer. And so that part, they'll just be cleaning up around there. And so that is going ahead of schedule from what we originally planned with the boulevard and the parking lot. So we continue to be on budget and either at or slightly ahead of schedule. And so things have been smooth. I would tell you that we did need to take out our first draw from the construction loan for this last month. We do not expect to have to take one out each month, because there's still at least $3 million of grant money that Seward Changing the Game will receive, and another $280,000 from our CCCFF grant that we'll receive. So the construction payments that the city has made with that satisfies the CCCFF grant as far as how much we need to, money we need to expend. And so I will be able to complete that, give an update, and show that we made the proper payments, and essentially close that part out. And they will probably need to inspect, make sure that we're completed, but that satisfies all the requirements of that grant once I give an update. So we're in real good shape there, and so things continue to go well. We continue to be happy with the progress that is going on up there, and it keeps looking very nice. So any questions before I go on to the other items?
Any questions from the council? Seeing none, go ahead.
All right, so the next one on there, the membership fees or
No,
the
next one's a change order.
Changers, right. So what you received was a list of some small change order items. All of those were done, either some of them were done because we were slightly upgrading something, some needed to be done, and some saved money. And so in the end, anything that required an upgrade or an extra cost was seen in savings from another item. For instance, savings was seen in using shotcrete. That was a big savings, and so several of those things, there was something with the roof as well, that those items make it zero cost for those change orders. So Samson has, again, done an outstanding job of keeping us up to date with those and suggesting things and making sure and saying, we're saving here, this is no problem. One of those is fans, an extra fan at the ceiling in fitness area, things like that. Some items like that are really nice to have, that because we're saving money is easy to do. So that, I just ask for acceptance of that change order. But again, it's zero because we saved in many areas.
Okay, so there's no additional cost is what you're saying?
Correct.
All right, great. Any questions or comments from the council? Yes, I don't like it. It's just a simple motion. Motion and a second for approval of the change orders. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please register your votes. Please display your votes.
Voting in favor, Kaler, Tanya, Colton, Miller, Streisand, Morgan, 6-0.
Now, item B is the consideration of the resolution establishing the fees.
Yes. What I'm handing out to you now, it was given to you last meeting, I believe, in your packet, but I'm just handing this sheet out to you again so that you have it in front of you. I was not here to discuss it, so I wanted to get this in front of you again. The changes that I made from the very first proposal are in red. And again, this was in your packet before, and I would note in red, those changes on the bottom, I explained those. They were all established from looking at, we are either at the average or slightly below the average of all of the other similar sized centers that we looked at. So we tried to be at that, and I was able to do that with all of those. And have some estimates off to the side again for you to see that, where those numbers come from. But I thought those numbers were appropriate when looking at our demographic as well as what some of these other facilities are.
I'll give you a moment to review those. If you have any questions or comments?
One of the changes I did make that isn't in red is the daily is just gonna be, there is not gonna be a resident or non-resident with that. My original proposal in brainstorming that was having separate, but I thought it would be much easier just having one set one. Then I don't put the pressure and stress on our staff of having to ask that, people wondering if people are being honest, and then also, is it that important? But there is a max daily rate, so for a big family, that they're not being, if someone's visiting family on vacation and they wanna all go up and use it, that they're not gouged just for a one-time use. That's why the max daily rate is there for large families.
Any questions or comments from the council? It's routine to have any fees for the city, with the recreation department in particular, to come to the council for your review. Sometimes it may feel like you're getting in the weeds a little bit, but it's something that we've historically done just so that the council's aware of what the fees are, and if we want to have recommendations to adjust them, they would come before the council. This is a little bit different, being that we haven't done this before. But we want to make sure everyone gets the opportunity to review it and provide any input or suggestions that you may have. Rich?
I have a quick question on that, maximum daily rate, is that for the immediate family? So like if a family comes in and they all have cousins and aunts and uncles and stuff that come in, they.
Yes, that would be for immediate family.
Immediate families.
So like
then-
a mom and a dad and X number of kids.
Correct, yes. Yeah. We don't wanna,
No, I know,
Right.
right?
big family reunion, 20 people get in for $20.
No,
Any other questions or comments from the council? It is a resolution, so if you're ready, if you just want to introduce the resolution.
I'll introduce
sure
the
can.
resolution.
Alright, the resolution has been introduced and is designated as resolution number 2024-27. We would like to move that this resolution be passed and adopted.
So moved.
second,
Motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Voting in favor, Kaler, Tanya, Colton, Miller, Streisand, Morgan, 6-0.
Thank you, Joel.
Thank you. I would like to say with that, our membership drive, we plan to do well before the beginning of the year, calendar year. So, we haven't set that in place, but, with these, we'll be working on that as our next steps.
Would they make good stocking stuffers? Is that what you're
They
saying?
would absolutely make it stocking stuffers. Your father would appreciate it.
I'm sure he will. Don't spoil it, though.
Don't put that in the paper, please.
Thank you, Joel. Next, item 4, fiscal year 2025 adoption. Greg?
All right, a little bit of housekeeping. So our plan is tonight we'll discuss the budget one last time. If you have anything you want to recommend amending, now is the magical time. Technically, we can also do it on next Tuesday. That's our plan for moving through this. As we noted, knowing that we were going to the postcard hearing on the 23rd, it was a recommendation of the mayor that we make sure we're not officially adopting a budget before we have an opportunity to talk to taxpayers one last time. So we will have our special meeting on the 24th, get together and then make any final last minute adjustments and then adopt this. But this will be our final full opportunity pursuant to the public hearing that we announced earlier tonight and noticed in the paper. I'll just cover, unless anybody has any questions, I'm just gonna cover a few odds and ends that are different, and I've noted in the memo. As always, my memo is draft until the final budget is adopted, so it accurately reflects what the actions of the council and the will of the council is. But we have continued in regards to the levy, and I noted that here. So the fiscal year property tax ask in 23-24 was $2,006,456. The 25 property ask is slightly more than that, actually. I'm going to give you a different number. The number on that one. It's probably why it's yellow highlighted. Let's see here. The tax ask for 2024-25 will be, let's see, we back out some here. Sure, my levy is the same. It'll be 249,830. Is the final one. Oh wait, that's not. I don't know what happened to our calculation here.
Could you just explain what Greg was talking about earlier, that's the reason why we have to have the special meeting on Tuesday? I know some communities, because of the way it falls on the schedule with the postcard meeting, I think some actually do pass it before the postcard meeting, and it's not something that I felt comfortable proposing, even though it requires to have a special meeting on that Tuesday. I feel that before the council makes a final decision, the public should have that opportunity. That was the spirit or the intent of the statute when the legislature passed that, is for to give the public one last opportunity for information and to provide input. And so that's why it's scheduled, even though it may feel a little clunky doing it like that with a special meeting. I just thought it was important to at least do it that way. I believe that was the intent.
Okay.
You good?
Yeah, I have now. So the 23-24 property tax ask was $2,006,456. Pursuant to the motion of the council, we left the levy alone with the 7% increase. So the property tax ask that was in the notice is $2,155,604.74. So approximate difference in $149,000. Again, a little over 60,000 of that is going into the ADA compliance, sidewalks, and other programs. The remainder of that 149 is to go into covering some of those fire costs, and then that levy accreditation item that we talked about that came up late. Increased cost for that pump station item. Additional things that have happened since we last met. One of the items in the budget listed under property and workers' comp liability insurance was we had made a conservative estimate after talking to our insurance provider. We were I'll be honest with you, we were anticipating 7. I went conservative and went 10. Ultimately, when we got the numbers just last Thursday before I sent this out to you, it ended up coming in at 15. So that was a sizable increase. City Finance Director Sydney Golden and myself, as soon as we got those numbers, we crunched them with the prior breakdown. One of the things that we noted though that wasn't included in either one but is in your budget is actually under the Wellness Center. The Wellness Center didn't have an insurance element to it last year because nothing existed. So we didn't increase anything from last year to add to it at 10%. So we stuck a hard number in there of 25,000. The 25,000 that was in there actually covered what we missed on that conservative estimate. So when we ran the numbers and we actually put them in from every budget line item for workers' compensation, insurance, property liability, everything, it all worked out. We are slightly above to cover all those costs. So we feel like we're in a good position. That's correct, Sydney?
Yep.
So one of those things we kind of tricked into, but it's just in the way that we mathed that to move it forward. If you don't have it the year before, there's nothing to multiply by, so it didn't catch until we went line by line through the budget just to double check. So kind of dodged a bullet on that one again. This is one of the hard ones. This is why we moved up our healthcare one so early on, because healthcare also used to have this problem where we're just, I think it's gonna be 8, and then whatever the number is, the number we have to eat. And so that's why we moved that up. I will continue to work with Mark Seward and Lichty to try and move this up more and more so it's more defined as we work through the budget process. Other than that, we talked about the levy. We have the sidewalk program in there, which is the specific item documented and discussed. Airport Authority will make any other changes and have accepted their.
I have just a quick question about the sidewalk program. Are you gonna roll out like specifics on that after the budget?
Yes.
Okay.
We wanted to make sure we knew what the funding was, and then we will make a recommendation based on that funding amount so that it's distributed appropriately.
Okay.
We'll recheck what a standard sidewalk, most standard yard widths are. We know they're usually 4 or 5 feet wide, but we'll go through and check the prices on that, so we're not trying to say, hey, we'll give you a grant for 50%, we're really covering 10%, or we're
Got
covering,
it.
it's a windfall and we're covering 90% of your costs. We went through, myself, Tim Dworak, and Sarah in the Building and Zoning Office, and we went through a number of different programs through other communities, so we think we have a model that will work for you.
Okay. And you'll bring that later to tell
It'll probably be right in October.
to tell us about it. Okay.
Yep, and then you guys can adopt it, and then we'll put it out for promotion, and again, probably won't get a whole lot done, so if you do have to kind of pick at it through the winter and get back at it but I mean, you can get sidewalk in pretty quickly on a nice day, so.
We'll explain it right after you approve it.
Okay.
Yes.
Just wanted to make sure.
Other than that, we made the changes on fire and rescue, as was denoted at the last meeting as well. So,
Anything else on that? Well, John had mentioned exercise equipment and lift, right?
Yep.
And everything's okay with that?
yep, it was in there in the budget the last time you guys had it, so we didn't make any changes. So that was the last proposal that the mayor brought, that we'd made when we had set the levy. So, it's there, so.
Greg, on page 5 with the senior center, I wanna make sure I'm understanding that, so the $30,000 for the floor is not in the budget, or it is
I believe we have it in there.
in there?
We deferred that from last year.
Yes.
Anyway, so, okay.
I think it's the sentence, like, we're looking for alternate ways to, on the expense that's.
If
not in
it's,
the-
I'm anticipating it's gonna go above.
Okay, alright,
So-
thank you.
I think Katrina is gonna, but we have to, being at 30,000, also it needs to go out for bid.
Yeah.
So that was one of the, we had some people go down and look at it, and once we knew it kinda hit that mark, it's like, well, now we have to bid this project, rather than just have somebody come in and get quick estimates and then
Right.
just go do it, based on the low estimate or the one that meets our needs. So that was one of the things, and so we had to build bid specs, and I've been remiss in getting those back to Katrina, so we can build a bid spec for you guys to put out there, but.
Thank you.
Anything else? Other than that, I think we're probably gonna table the next motions until Tuesday.
I'll just note, I will not be here Tuesday.
And we will need, if if we're gonna do as planned things that we normally see, we will need to ensure to have 6, because I think it's a super majority to adjust the 1%. So,
as well.
You're not gonna be here either?
do you have those two already?
Yeah.
Yeah, I sent it to
Cause
you.
the other option is do the 1% now, cause we do have 6.
Well, that's why I bring it up, I just wanna make sure, I'm
It's
out
just
of town.
an additional budget authority authorization, it's not approval of the budget. So, that item could go tonight, correct, Kelly?
I had a couple come, I didn't have you, so.
Are we down to 5?
No, never mind, I had you, my apologies. I had 6.
This is always our worry with, when we get down to 6 and we have a motion. The adoption of the budget does not require 6, but that motion for the 1% does. So maybe
Let's do that tonight,
if we're in,
while we're here.
so,
Makes sense.
So you're talking about 4A?
that is correct.
Okay. Is there any further discussion or comments from the council? Otherwise, entertain a motion on 4A.
I make a motion to approve.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Voting in favor, Kaler, Tanya, Colton, Miller, Streisand, Morgan, 6-0.
Anything else that needs to be done tonight?
Nope, so we'll adopt the budget on the 24th after any
So
other final.
we're tabling 4B, C, and D.
I have to scan all the way back, is that correct? Approval of the municipal budget, resolution setting the property tax request, and ordinance adoption municipal budget. Yep, all those will be tabled.
Okay, so then, just real quick, we did the one motion, or one ordinance tonight, and so I need a motion to make that ordinance a part of the permanent record,
So moved.
Second.
right?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay. The motion and second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Voting in favor, Kaler, Tanya, Colton, Miller, Streisand, Morgan, 6-0.
Thank you. We good with the city administrator's report on that question?
Let's just finalize one thing so we get it out there. I think, Derek, that last item is an ordinance to adopt the
Yeah.
budget. I'm assuming it's like every other ordinance, we're gonna need 6 to waive those statutory rules. So everybody else, I'm gonna need you on the 24th at 7 PM. So,
Unless you want 3 readings.
which means we're gonna have to.
Time,
There's not time for 3 readings.
not
You're right.
statutorily. Well, I mean, theory you could, but you're gonna be like
You're
immediately.
gonna have to come 3 days in a row or get 6 people here on the second one.
Right.
If we can have people here, barring catastrophe, I'm assuming that we will move through the budget process relatively efficiently. I'll report what I have from the postcard hearing and finalize any last minute things and go, because it's gotta be out the end of that week. So, and I think we had this problem last year where we had to like have a Friday meeting at 8 o'clock in the morning to try and get everybody in. So if we can avoid that, it'd be nice to not do that again.
Alright, so with that, next item is city administrator's report.
Yeah, budget. Thank you again, Sydney, for all of her work and working with our auditors to prep the budget reports that were included in your packet, public notices, get things ready. Derek and Sydney working in tandem together while I was out, to get notices, out on the postcard hearing and do all that work, so thank you both for that. Kudos to all the department heads for their hard work in getting us to this point. We have a little bit more to go, but we'll get it across the finish line. So that's been a predominant one for us. We've moved into evaluation period, and so all the employees are going through their 6-month evaluation period right now. I did a good number of department heads today, and on Thursday I'll try to complete a good number again, but that is a significant effort, especially for myself and Derek, as we have to not only do those evaluations for the department heads for me, but then Derek and I go through every evaluation and work through that process. Other than that, again, we're monitoring all the projects in town. The water tower continues to proceed forward. Had a little bit of kerfuffle with the sandblasting on that one, but kudos to Mike and Brandon Cole for working with the neighbors over there and trying to be accommodating for when they're getting dust and other things on top of their vehicles and stuff like that, or tracking the buildings and things. And so we'll work through those as best we can, try to get notification. Park Avenue continues to open up. 6th Street moves forward. Large paving was done all the way up to Hillcrest. They look like they're prepping now to go from Hillcrest to North Avenue. And then once all that gets settled in and they feel like they're confident on their driveways and everything on that side, they'll move southbound traffic all the way to that southbound lane. and then they'll get started on all the work they need to do on the northbound traffic.
Do we have a
lane.
timeline when they're, I just don't recall, I mean, it's moved, but the timeline when they're done with that Sixth Street,
December 1st.
December 1.
Yep. So there may be peripheral items related to it, seeding, grass, sod, things like that, but they wanna have all their in-ground concrete work, sidewalks, all that stuff done if they can by December 1st.
Which, I guess I'd like to make a comment, I think originally we talked about having it done by the 4th of July in 2025.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So we pushed up and put that kind of heat on our city employees, so we wanna extend our gratitude to you guys for all the work you're doing. We know right now you're right in the heat of the battle, and the city I as a city council person, and I think the rest of the council really appreciates what you guys are doing. So, I don't know if that gets said enough, but it certainly needs to be said right now, cause if you could have more projects going at one time, I have no idea how you could. It's fantastic, and it's gonna be great when it's all
It is
done.
pretty incredible.
It's an incredible transition, so thank you very much for your time.
Well,
there.
and I just think about other communities, they're down for 2 years.
Yeah.
They have that stuff going through the middle of their town
Well,
for
and
2 years at a time.
and my niece is married to Craig Nelson, who's with Black Hills, and I asked people like Craig and working with the city of Seward project manager, what's it like working with city employees? And he says, like working with Seward is just so much better than working with Milford. For example, he thinks the world of you guys.
Probably the zoning person or the building person down in Milford
Well,
that's causing all this problem.
And he likes working with Jay from Constructors and
Yep.
stuff too. I mean, we've got Samson, people like that, but working with you guys too. So I just
I have to commend Brian Schoen with NDOT. He really runs a tight ship. He delivers what he says. He'll be straight and honest with you, good, bad, or otherwise. And I think it's the intent of Constructors and their whole team that they want to get in and get out. They don't want to be here any longer than they can. And so they're doing their best to try and implement that in the timeline that they've given. They've also been very flexible when they've hit some of these roadblocks, no pun intended. They've pivoted on things to keep workers going and crews going, and so that it just kind of, it's not exactly the way they exactly pictured it, but they've flip-flop things back and forth to make it work so that they can just keep on rolling and hopefully hit that timeline. But yes, again, huge kudos to Mike, Brandon, Tim, Bob Myers, everybody out there on the grade, working through issues, working with community members. A huge props to our citizens. They've had to put it up with it, especially the ones that live in those areas and stuff. It's been rough, but the outcomes will be incredible. But we had to get to this point. We had to go through this growing pain. I don't think anybody was ready for another winter on that highway.
No.
We shook all the bolts out of our cars. So, but no, great community effort, and just hang in with us for a couple more months, and we're gonna be happy with what we got. Trying to, again, just tons of project stuff, wellness thing. Joel's been doing a great job. Lots of stuff to work through with him and Shane and Dave as we get together almost weekly to go sort through stuff. So I can answer anything else you can. If you're wondering about me and my wincing, I kind of screwed up my back, and so it wasn't like I was making bad faces about the budget or other things today. I'm trying to get through something, and hopefully my back will loosen back up. But cheering on the Huskers too much or something like that, and it just didn't work. So, but yeah, we're doing all right, and we'll get through it. So, I can answer any questions you have.
So let's entertain a motion to accept the
Move
report.
to accept.
Second.
Motion and a second, please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Voting in favor, Kaler, Tanya, Colton, Miller, Streisand, Morgan, 6-0.
Having future requests for council agenda items or administrative action. Seeing none. You have any announcement for upcoming events?
I do. I'm gonna read it in my best Jonathan voice. Here are the upcoming events.
What
On
segment?
On Sunday, September 22nd, SCCD will be hosting their annual Farm to Table Culinary Arts Experience at the Dairy in Seward. Attached flyer was sent out to all the council during this meeting. You are welcome to purchase a ticket and join SCCDB for a delicious food and drink along with great music and wonderful fellowship. During this year's event, SCCDB will be fundraising for our Kernels for Kids initiative by highlighting the important work of our child care service providers to offer them many grants in the future. Please spread the word about this great collaborative event to support our local restaurants and child care service providers. Tuesday, September 24th from 4 to 6 p.m., SCCDP will be hosting a business after-hours event at Lighthouse Pentecostal Church. You're welcome to join us for delicious food and great fellowship. On September 27th, SCCD will be hosting a ribbon cutting for 6th Street Cafe at 4 p.m. Feel free to join them to celebrate this expanded restaurant in downtown Seward. Also, in partnership with Concordia University, SCC, and Seward Public Schools, SCCDP will be hosting the Nebraska Tech Builders Challenge on November 1st through the 2nd. This will welcome high school and college students for a 24-hour event focused on solving real-world issues by using technology to do so. If you'd like to learn more, please let Jonathan know. And lastly, they'll be hosting the 14th Annual Seward Christmas Festival on the 5th Saturday of November, which is the 30th. For more details to follow.
Great, thank you, John.
Whoever you are.
You did such a good job. You
I
fooled me.
know.
Yeah, I had my eyes closed and I thought it was. Next we have a strategy session.
All right, I move that the city council go into closed session with the mayor, city administrator, city clerk, and the city attorney for the protection of the public interest and to discuss real estate interests at the Seward Rail Campus and to provide the city attorney with negotiating guidance for a period not to exceed 30 minutes.
All right, we have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Voting in favor, Kaler, Tanya, Skolter, Miller, Streisand, Morgan, 6-0.
The council is voted to go into closed session at 9:25 p.m. for the protection of the public interest. To discuss,
8:25.
what I said?
No.
No. The council voted to go to closed session at 8:25 p.m. for the protection of the public interest and to discuss real estate interests at the Seward Rail Campus to provide the city attorney with negotiating guidance. No formal action will be taken. We are now in closed session.